translate anomalies. In late 2017, users on 4chan's paranormal boards began noticing something extremely strange with Google Translate. Typing simple inputs like repeated letters would sometimes produce oddly specific outputs. Other combinations appeared to generate fragments that looked like private emails, Facebook links, or even snippets of conversations between two people. The majority of the strange and inconsistent results came from translations from Somali to English. The most unsettling results came from broken string inputs. This string, which is a distorted form of the string, "Are you Satan?" reportedly returned, "Look up," while another variation like, "Are you there?" returned the phrase, "Help me." Naturally, theories exploded online. Some thought it was an intentional Easter egg. Others suggested this was the work of a malicious employee who had set up this hidden feature to leak company data. Some went even further, believing it to be an AI that had developed consciousness and was attempting to communicate beyond its initial purpose, which is obviously false. But the most realistic explanation would be a bug in Google's translation system, likely related to its handling of certain less common language pairs like Somali and English. However, the fact that outputs sometimes resembled private messages or fragmented personal data raised questions about whether the system was unintentionally pulling from broader interconnected datasets. For example, if Google Translate returns what looks like an email snippet, it might be due to a bug returning Gmail-related data within Google Translate. Google never officially acknowledged the phenomenon, and whatever caused those bizarre translations seems to have been quietly patched out. But the screenshots and stories still remain one of the internet's strangest unsolved tech glitches. User 927. On August 4, 2006, AOL, one of the biggest search engines before Google completely took over, accidentally released a massive file containing over 20 million searches made by its users. The logs spread across the internet almost instantly, and even though AOL deleted the file just 3 days later, thousands of people had already downloaded copies. The names were removed and replaced with anonymous identification numbers, so users could only be identified by a number. And out of the hundreds of thousands of users in the file, the user number 927 stood out more than anyone else. At first, he was searching for perfectly normal things like songs, artists, and even searches for flowers, but gradually his searches became increasingly disturbing. It began with bizarre searches related to human mold, strange and unsettling content that already raised eyebrows, but over time, the searches spiraled into increasingly graphic and deeply inappropriate territory. Investigators who looked through the logs described them as some of the darkest searches found anywhere in the entire AOL leak. The sheer volume and progression of these searches painted the picture of someone deeply disturbed, and online discussions quickly shifted from curiosity to concern, with many believing the person behind user 927 could have been genuinely dangerous in real life. The disturbing nature of user 927's searches became so infamous that the story eventually inspired an off-Broadway play called User 927, You Are What You Seek. The only clue we have is that they might live in Colorado based on a simple search on the state government's official website. Apart from that, the identity behind those searches remains completely unknown, and user 927 quickly became one of the internet's earliest and most infamous mysteries.